So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate how to do changes and mods in RMS 3. So to start, I'll go ahead and log in as a government employee. We'll go ahead and click on the district that we want to work with. If you don't see your contract at first, the easiest way to find it in RMS 3 is to type any part of the contract title or contract ID or contract number into the search box, and RMS 3 will start filtering down your contract. You can just double click on the contract you want to use, and you can mark your contract as a favorite by clicking this button, so that way you can get to it easier. Let's go ahead and proceed into the finances screen. Go ahead and click on contract changes in order to start a change. And we'll go ahead and do a new change. Let's do a change for improved exit lighting. Go ahead and hit add here. And you get one opportunity in RMS to be able to say which type of change you want to implement. I'm going to go ahead and do a new single part change, but you could start a multi-part change or do a weather mod as well. Go ahead and pick the next available change number. Some districts use actual numbers and some use change case letters. And then you'll have to specify the reason code here. Go ahead and click finish. And RMS will create a change record and then open up the screen so that we can fill it in. So all the basic change information should be in here. I'm going to go ahead and stick the dates in and all of the other pertinent information. Basically fill out all of these signature blocks. Make sure the agency code and the mod type are correct. Go ahead and click description and we'll start filling out the BCD. So to start filling out the BCD, just go ahead and click add. It automatically picks the next available BCD item number. Creates a new BCD record and shows that to us. Go ahead and fill in as much pertinent information here as necessary. And if you need to increase the time of the contract in RMS 3, go ahead and fill in the appropriate number of days here under phase time. Fill in as much information as possible here in the BCD screen, and then go ahead and click back. You need to provide adjustments to a quantity-based CLEN. You can check that box here. Helps you fill out a quantity variation here. Go ahead and click back. I actually don't want to do that in this mod, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. I'm going to go ahead and instead into Status and Funding tab, and this looks very much like the Status and Funding tab in the old RMS. You can check off or uncheck any of the items that are required or not required for this change. We can go ahead and say that the BCD is done today. We can say that we requested the proposal here. We'll go ahead and make an RFP here in just a second. So at any time, you're filling out the basic information here, and then we'll be able to choose whichever is the most appropriate option for the total cost of the change as it's settled. So at the bottom of the screen here, you need to tell RMS which funding account is going to be used to pay for this change. I'm going to go ahead and put all of the funding for the change on this one account. But you could make a funding split if you need to here between federal and sponsor funds, for example, in this case. Next, we'll go ahead into the Claims and Disputes tab, and this tab is actually filled in if you create a claim in the claim screen, which is another portion of the Finances module. You can see the basic claim information here from the change request. So that's why you really can't do anything with this screen right now, because it's really primarily run from the claim screen. And the last tab is under supporting documents here. We'd be able to upload any supporting documents that were used in the creation of this change. And so for example, I could create an RFP letter from here. And RMS will automatically look up the next available RFP letter number. It automatically knows the change request information. We'll go ahead and click OK. And then if I go ahead and double click here, RMS will actually open up the correspondence letter log entry for the RFP. And I could go ahead and add a package with an RFP letter in it and send it to the contractor. Add it as a PDF already or a copy in Word. You could click Add here and upload the file. You could generate the letter as part of a document correspondence template from the district library. Go ahead and try that as a demonstration. Here we have request for proposal letters, and I'm going to go ahead and use the format for Campus here. And it wants to know the name of the office, so we use East Campus. And then it wants to know the title of the signature block. It wants to know which change. And then RMS will go ahead and open up a copy of Word on your machine, the appropriate Army document format, and request for proposal language for this particular office. The only trouble with using a Word document is you'll have to sign the document electronically or print it out and sign it with an ink signature and scan it back in. You may still find the document template generation useful anyway because it imports a lot of boilerplate language. It is possible to go ahead and electronically sign the document if you happen to be, in this case, Brian Mastervich. You could open this up and sign it electronically here, although it looks a little obnoxious. Because you can see this signature line is just crazy, but it's also possible to convert this to a PDF file and sign it that way. Otherwise, you just double click on this. Unfortunately, I can't sign as Brian because I don't have his CAC card, so you have to try to show this instead for a demonstration. Go ahead and give my pen. You can see it applies a signature directly into the document, and I can go ahead and close it. And if I want, I can go ahead and hit yes to upload the document back into the RMS database. So that shows up here. RMS has no idea that this document is electronically signed because we didn't use the Sign Selected Documents option. But the Sign Selected Document option doesn't really understand letters, and the only thing it can do is place a visual representation of the signature in the bottom right corner of the Word file, which also probably isn't what you want. So, if all this seems very confusing, the best thing you could do is probably save your document as a PDF and either sign it directly in Adobe and upload it, or sign it with ink and rescan it and upload it. Once you're satisfied that the letter's done, go ahead and hit Complete Package and hit yes. And that files that with PCF, and it will also make it available for the contractor to view whenever this letter log entry is sent. So then we would just change this to draft letter sent in order to send out the RFP to the contractor. Once you click yes, It becomes immediately viewable to the contractor. You cannot change what's in the letter. You'd have to delete it basically and add it back in again if you really made a mistake. Just hit back. And all of this was done under the supporting documents screen for the change, in which you could add additional attachments here. So after you've completed all of the necessary supporting documents, go ahead and go back to the Status and Funding tab, and we'll just verify one last time that all of the required dates are in here. Anything that you say is required, all of these dates must be filled in. And then, of course, we want to verify the mod amount and time down here to make sure that's accurate. And then the very last step to make this change available to be incorporated into a mod would be to change this from proposed to approved. Then we'll go ahead and click back. And that commits all the entries to make sure that this change can be included in the modification. Next, we'll go ahead and show how to do a modification in RMS 3. So once you've completed and approved the change in RMS 3, you can then use it and incorporate it in a new modification. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate how to do a modification in RMS 3. You want to go into the Finances module and then click Contract Modifications. And we'll go ahead and click Add. And if you happen to know the PD² mod number, it's beneficial to enter it at this time. If you do not know the PD² mod number, you can use the next available suggested mod reference number. Just go ahead and click OK. So on this first screen, we'll go ahead and add the change that we want to include on the modification. RMS automatically shows all the changes that aren't already assigned to a mod. We'll go ahead and highlight that and click OK. This next option chooses how the CLINs on the contract will be modified as a result of this modification. We'll go ahead and click Add and automatically add a new CLIN as a result of this mod. So it adds CLIN 10 in this case. Automatically has all of the information for the CLIN filled out. Go ahead and click back. And lastly, you want to tell RMS how you're going to fund the modification with PR&Cs. In this case, I've specified on the original change screen that it's going to be funded out of this funding account. And since there's only one funding account, there isn't much to do here, but if there was a funding split, you would have to go ahead and enter the information in here. This is actually correct. So go ahead on to tab number 2. As soon as you know the modification number in PD², you want to go ahead and enter it here. It's very important for labeling of the documents in PCF and for properly printing out the mod number on the SF30. Otherwise, you can enter the accounting and appropriation date as necessary here. You can specify the FAR clauses that are used as a part of this document. They do have some lookups in here if you want to look under administrative changes, just to show you an example. They have a lot of boilerplate text that we could use. In this case, we'll use a standard FAR clause for changes. Whether there's a contractor signature required, you want to go ahead and check that or not. And then the mod titles here. Go ahead to the next tab. If there's any change in price, you want to basically put all the boilerplate text in. There is some boilerplate text in here if you hit Insert Standard Text. I don't necessarily know that this will cover all cases, but it is available as a choice. And go ahead and fill all the basic information on the SF30 out here. Make sure the signature blocks look okay here. Specify whether the mod is done by a contracting officer or ACO, and then click the Release Mod tab. This shows a little differently than yours because my contract is not linked to CFMS. I didn't want to mess up funding in live contracts and CFMS, but typically you would have a spot here say that it's funded. You could check this off. If a contractor's signature is required, go ahead and fill in these dates to track when the contractor's signature occurred. And then one of the last steps, you want to go ahead and apply a government signature. And here we're going to go ahead and tell RMS how to fund this CLIN. So we're going to go ahead and double click on the obligation amount. And we'll click on this funding button to start the funding wizard for CLINs. And here it's actually showing only this funding account because this is the one that I specified on the change that was going to fund this particular action. If you change your mind and you want to split fund it, you can click here and split the amounts. Once that's done, don't click back. Instead, click Next down here to continue the funding wizard. And RMS applies those calculations to the CLIN. You could go ahead and click Finish. Now the funding is specified, so we'll go ahead and click back. So this CLIN is actually done. In about a second So for some reason the date information got erased out of the screen and I had to go ahead and stick it back in. So now you can see the obligation amount is completely filled in here. There's a variance of 0, so that's good. Let's go ahead and continue by checking the modification funded with obligations in CFM's box. Then we'll check modification completed, include in current contract, which will actually revise the current CLINs in the contract, at which time the contractor's schedule will need to be balanced with the appropriate activities for the new CLIN. RMS actually says that here, activities are required to be balanced. Go ahead and click Yes. So you have two choices under Pay Activities here. You see there's CLIN 10 and it's unbalanced. There's no activities yet. You can either create a dummy activity for CLIN 10 to balance it, or you can allow the contractor to go ahead and insert new detailed activities in their schedule with a BID activity code of 0010 to account for the difference. It really depends on which office you're working with. Some of them like to go ahead and add the activities, so I'll demonstrate that now. Go ahead and click Add and automatically add an activity to balance this CLIN. It doesn't make any assumption about the activity number, but typically if you're making a dummy activity to balance it, it usually equals the CLIN value. Except I'm already using that one in this case. So we'll go ahead and just make one up like this. So other than the activity amount and the CLIN, RMS makes no assumptions about what you want to put in there. And we'll just go ahead and click back. And we'll go ahead and click back again. And you can see when it refreshes the screen that everything is in balance now. So some schedulers will say, well, I really need the contractor to show detailed activities, and some people are very happy with just one dummy activity per CLIN. The remaining two tabs are the Mod Package tab and the Supporting Documents tab. So for example, while you're working on your modification, you'd be able to go in here, go ahead and do a modification document. We can go ahead and either generate a document based on a template in the district template library, or select a document and upload it from an existing file source such as a network drive or your local PC. We'll go ahead and do a PNM here. Of course, you would have been doing these all along as you were completing the modification. The easiest thing to do, of course, if you have one already, you can just select document and upload it. You could potentially generate one from the document templates in the district library by clicking Generate Document. Baltimore District does have a PNM template that we can use. Go ahead and click OK. And this will go ahead and start up Microsoft Word. And we'll go ahead and fill out these prompts, and then we'll be able to edit the PNM and save it. It wants to know which change. Go ahead and click OK. Which change again. Here you can see a sample PNM of the district style, which we could go in and then edit as appropriate here. So that would be one starting point that you could use for a PNM, for example, as a modification document. Once you close Word, then it asks if you want to go ahead and upload that document back into the RMS database in case you've made any changes in Word. If you wanted to make a PDF out of it, my suggestion would be to open it up in Word and export it as a PDF. Then you'd be able to do all the PDF type things like signing it electronically very easily, making sure that nobody can edit it once it's a complete document. In any event, we check off completed here, go ahead and hit back, and that one document is done. So the last thing to do in order to finalize the mod is actually to go ahead and complete the mod package, which is where we're basically taking all of the individual document components of the mod package and uploading them to PCF so that it's available for contracting in the official contract file. A lot of people ask, can I go ahead and scan the entire package in and upload it as one unit? And the answer to that is no, because in PCF all these individual items are actually stored in different folders. So RMS doesn't really understand how to do that on its own, so it requires us to go ahead and split out the mod package into the various different components, and then the RMS to PCF interface will be able to file everything in the appropriate folder structure within both systems. So here you want to go ahead and check off any of the items that are required for this mod package. By default, these two items are required, and I've already filed the SF30. We'll go ahead and show how to do the car here in a second, but of course a normal mod package would have many more items, a BCD, RFP, IGE if it's required, and all of those should be checked off here if it's necessary, and then you'd be able to upload the individual electronic or paper copies once they're scanned in. The finalized car of course comes from PD². There's a whole process for how to generate that and get it as a PDF file so that it's easy to upload into RMS. These screens all work the same. Basically you can add a document package in here, and in this case it's specifically for the car, and you can just click add here or drag and drop the PDF file for the car or any other supporting documentation that you'd like to include in this section. I'm just going to go ahead and include this sample file because I do not have an actual car at the moment. Every time you upload something to Document Package Manager, it immediately shows you this screen so that you can rename the attachment if you want. I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone and I could upload additional files here as necessary. It's really up to the person who's doing this to figure out exactly which documents are necessary. Finally, you want to go ahead and complete the package once you have everything uploaded. And this is your last chance to make changes to this particular package. You could go ahead and click yes if you're sure. And this package will automatically go on to PCF to be filed. So we'll go ahead and click back. And if this section is done, we've accepted this package with the car in it, we can check off section complete. Go ahead and click back. And RMS will refresh here and show that the status of this particular section is complete. When you've completed all of the sections, you can check off this box for mod package complete, and that finalizes the mod completely. If for some reason you're just trying to duplicate a CO mod in RMS just to keep the contract value current, you can use this checkbox. It says the mod package will be completed and loaded into PCF from outside RMS. If you do that, then all of these sections become irrelevant because what you're saying is the contract specialist in contracting is going to manually upload the items into PCF for you for that particular mod. If you make a mistake and you'd like to amend the information that is in one of these packages, that is possible. You can't delete what you've sent in this package. If I double click on it, I can see exactly what's in here. You won't be able to delete it through RMS. You can ask the contract specialist or contract specialist manager in contracting to delete an item out of PCF for you if it's necessary. Otherwise, you could uncheck section complete and add a new package and send that one. And that would basically be added as a second revision to the first package. Both of them will appear in PCF, so you might want to go ahead and just make a notation in the second package somewhere as to what was corrected and why. Other than that, just check off section complete. Finally, go ahead and check off the box at the bottom once all of these sections are complete. And actually, I haven't filled in the PD squared mod number yet, so I need to go ahead and do that. And we have to go back here to tab number 2. Of course, as I explained earlier in the video, you should enter this number as soon as possible, as soon as you know which mod number is being issued out of PD squared for the modification in RMS, so that way all the documentation in PCF is labeled properly. Should be able to complete the mod package now. RMS is going to ask me to authenticate, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. At that point, this is a permanent modification as entered into the system. The process of completing a modification in RMS is done. If you have any questions, please give me a call or send me an email.